Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
I have to begin this evening by welcoming so many students from my Miller Introduction to Judaism course that I teach on Thursday nights. I have to say to all of my students from the class that I could not stop thinking last night about the concept of blessings and the idea of prayer and the notion of conversation with God. Set blessings, which refer to the Hebrew concept of keva, that is that which is set, and kavanah, meaning that which comes from our intentionality, right? That which is spontaneous and individual as compared to that which is set and communal. And it made me wake up this morning, and in between davening and meetings and phone calls and endless Zoom, I picked up this book that you can see, To Life, L'Chaim, Prayers and Blessings for the Jewish Home, a collection written by Rabbi Michael Shire, which is an incredible book. And I began leafing through the book, looking at different ideas in the book, looking through Hanukkah, and I thought to myself, for sure there is an interesting blessing, a teaching in here that I can use for this evening. And it is just then that I came to Shlave Halvana, right, the blessings that we say on the new moon, which is not something that we usually do as a community. And as you can see, each new month here next to the blessing has even a symbol for the month, right? So for Tishrei, for instance, there is a scale hanging from above, and we can understand that Tishrei, the month of the Day of Judgment, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Hadin, and Yom Kippur, a Day of Atonement, right? That the image of the scale, and it has a selection from the Psalm that you read on the evening of the new month for Tishrei. The same is for Cheshvan, and this sounds a lot like horoscopes, like we would find them in the newspaper. Cheshvan has a Scorpio, Kislev, in parentheses after it, Sagittarius. It was the passage for Kislev that caught my attention, because I started reading it, and I had no idea where this passage of prayer was from. So I had to look at the footnote. The prayer reads, Ashrei Hagafrur, Shenisraf v'hitzit lehavot. Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame. Blessed is the flame that burns in the heart's most secret places. Blessed is the heart with the strength to stop its beating for integrity's sake. Blessed is the match consumed in kindling the flame. And I looked for the credit for who the author was for this piece of liturgy. And underneath it reads that piece of poetry was written by an author by the name of Chana Senesh. Chana Senesh, for those of us who don't know, was a 23-year-old Jewish woman living in pre-state Israel, British Mandate Palestine, when she volunteered to be parachuted in to an area in Yugoslavia and be part of Jewish groups that helped battle the Nazis. And it was during that mission that she volunteered for as a 23-year-old young Zionist woman that she was found out and tortured and executed. And her poetry lives on through poems that we're all familiar with, like Eli Eli, and through poems that we're not as familiar with, like this one that I just read here this evening for all of us. Her yurtzeit, believe it or not, was this past month in between the previous Friday night that we met for Friday night Kabbalat Shabbat services and this one here tonight. And so I thought it was appropriate to speak about her just for two reasons. First, she certainly is a voice in our tradition, worthy of remembering and marking the occasion. And second, the month of Kislev that we're now embarking on is a month of Jewish heroism. In its simplest sense, Hanukkah is the act of remembering Jews who contain the inner strength to light a candle that will burn for 2,000 years. The strength of the Maccabee brothers is something that we remember each and every year, and the act of lighting the candle helps inspire each and every Jew to be courageous, gather the strength inside themselves to be the hero that the world requires. In that time, in our days. So I would think that now is the time for all of us to reflect and think back, beginning with Yehuda HaMaccabee, with Judah the Maccabee, all the way to ourselves. Across this great distance of 2,000 years in time, let's each one of us dedicate ourselves to reading about and studying a Jewish hero to which we'd like to relate over the next couple of weeks before Hanukkah. For some of us, that might be Judah Maccabee. For some of us, it might be his younger brother, Shimon Simon Maccabee, whom I'm studying about right now. For some of us, it might be people in the Middle Ages. It might be people in the Talmudic era. It might be people in the Haskalah, in the Enlightenment era, or in modern Zionism. For some of us, it might be Sandy Koufax, or the two young Israeli men who were just drafted into the NBA this previous week in the NBA draft. For each one of them, in standing up and declaring their Jewish identity, they exert a sense of Jewish heroism and inspiration, and they light their own candle. And when we study these heroes and we learn about them, we should ask ourselves the question, what will it take for us to join them? What can we do in our lives to be counted amongst them in the halls of Jewish heroism? I pray that none of us face the kind of choice that Hannah Senesh has to face. But all of us, in our own way, will encounter moments in our life where our Jewish identity is challenged. Some of us publicly, some of us privately. It'll be up to each of us whether or not in that moment we choose to kindle the flame of our Jewish identity inside and join our brothers and sisters, Judah Maccabee and Hannah Senesh alike, stand shoulder to shoulder and claim our place as a Jewish hero. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. הניסים ועל הפורקן, על הגבורות ועל התשועות ועל הנחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה, בימים ההם בזמן הזה.